A new survey from the AP reveals that 70% of Americans are worried that the country is losing its identity. That's most of us. Hey, have we really found something that we all see eye to eye on? Not quite. The problem is we can't agree on what the identity is that we're losing. In other words, we don't agree on what makes America great in the first place. Democrats were likely to point to things like diversity and openness to refugees and other immigrants in describing what America means. Well, openness is good, but why do people want to come here in the first place? There must be some values that they're attracted to. Well, let me read this quote from the AP article on the poll. The poll found that Democrats were nearly 3 times as likely as Republicans to say that the U.S. should be a country made up of many cultures and values that change as new people arrive, with far more Republicans saying there should be an essential American culture that immigrants adopt. Well, that's the crux of it, isn't it? That those on the left believe that American values change over time. But if that's the case, why even have a United States of America at all? If the USA is whatever the current crop of people within its borders think it is, we're not a country, we're an area. There's such a thing as American values. The real divide in this country is people who believe that and people who don't.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I come on the show a lot. I've never seen you make an intelligent point before. That
Whoa, there you go.
I'm just a little caught back. That was incredible. That was deep. It was profound.
I wanted to have Lee Greenwood singing behind me as I did that.
Huh? I'm kidding. You make a lot of great points, but that was it. You were spot on.
Spot on. There you go. I thought you might be the one to have a problem with that monologue.
Now what are we going to talk about? We thought he would be the one to...
Well, look, I'm a libertarian, but that doesn't mean, like, I don't think government should legislate culture, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't have one. There's a fantastic book called The Closing of the American Mind by Alan Bloom. If anyone ever reads this, it's really incredible. Yeah. And he basically breaks down how at the center of modern progressive, if you will, he didn't call it that at the time, but ideology is cultural relativism, which is really a concept that kind of breaks down, because really if you look at the left, it's like all cultures are equal except ours, which is really bad.
You got to remember, though, he wrote that book in 1987.
Yes, this was already...
And today, he'd be a progressive.
Well, maybe...
Without a doubt.
Well, he looked at himself that way. He called himself a classical liberal, did he not? Which I think you call yourself, Christopher, do you?
Look, I call myself a progressive, you know, and there are some things in that monologue I agree with, and there are some things I disagree with. I could also say that that was probably said 100 years ago. People come to this country, and for a time, they still have their old culture, but the next generation adopts our culture, and parts of their culture become part of our culture, and that's what makes America continue to be great, because we constantly refresh and renew what we are.
You're right.
And that's a great thing.
But it's still ignoring Tom's question, that makes us continue to be great. What made us great in the first place? Like, what is it? Why is everybody isn't leaving to go flood to some country in Central Africa?
They're coming here. Thought and opportunity.
Right.
The fact that anyone can do anything. You can come here with any number of skills and be successful, and any number of thoughts and be successful.
Here's the thing, that people used to talk about a melting pot. Like, you know, Chris Hahn said 100 years ago, that, you know, immigrants came, they changed, then, you know, then they assimilated. But a lot of people think that the idea of the melting pot has gone away, and now we have this kind of fractured, you know, what they call a mosaic, or the multiculturalism, is that they don't buy into the melting pot. Do you buy the melting pot,
I definitely buy the melting pot. I've lived in a number of different areas where it's very culturally different, and I love every single one of them, and I think that makes America great.
And you know what? People are just concerned that they don't see them melting yet. It's the next generation that melts. My grandma Filipazzo on my mother's side, she didn't speak a word of English. Yeah. Okay, here I am talking proper English on a national television. So there you go.
Unlike you, I feel like people have forgotten their roots and where they came from, and to be thoughtful and kind, and to think how hard it was to come to this country and have nothing, and to overcome that and become a very successful member of our society. And I think just as in general, this day and age, we forgot to be kind and considerate and put ourselves in their shoes. And, you know, these immigrants, it's tough. It's really hard. And I do believe in the melting pot, and that's what I love about America.
Well, I believe in the melting pot, but I think that people years ago, they came to this country with the idea that they were going to assimilate. I feel like that's happening less and less, Han.
No, that's not true.
I'm not confident that next generation is going to.
Well, you should be. And in fact, you know, Latinos, for example, assimilate quicker than Italians and Irish did. And it's happening quicker and quicker around the world. People want to be Americans. They want to be part of the dream. And people then become part of what we are. The best example of this is the New York diner. You go to a New York diner, it used to be a greasy spoon. Then it became a Jewish diner where you could get matzo ball suits, you could get all those kind of deli kind of meats there. Now you could also get Greeks because the Greeks bought it. And you're starting to see Latino food there. It's a melting pot. It's great. It's what's great about this country. It's what's going to continue to make us great. I love
man,
it.
he sold me on the diner.
Let's go, man. Let's get it.
Yeah,
I think I like that original diner best.